John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, we're up in the cold north still one more day, and I'm pre-recording mostly because the Wi-Fi is so slow that it gets choppy, but it should restream fine like this, hopefully, and hopefully we can schedule it a little earlier. Yesterday, by the time I posted it, it has like a 15 or 20-minute delay, so I'm getting at it a little earlier today. Okay, so we got some really good articles that I think will make you think today. So join me and off we go. First, I want to talk, just a really good article about how chatbots actually have become less prolific since 2016. They became very, very prominent, and I have to say, in some of the, like Reddit, the conversation rooms, there used to be a proliferation of robots offering you stuff that had nothing to do with the people online, but just people would just launch them. And I haven't seen those in a while, so I think sites are taking control of their own conversations, which is good. It actually says that the chatbots have become less prolific since 2016, which I think is probably true. It said you have to be really careful, because if the bot is just collecting preliminary information to talk to a person, that's great. But for example, today I was on the Salesforce.com site and they offered to chat with me. And, I'm not sure if it was a person or not, but I gave them what I was looking for, which was a report, and they just Googled it. That sounds like something a chatbot would do. So John, I think his name was, if you were a chatbot, if you weren't a chatbot, I apologize. But it's okay to put some human things in there. I told him don't contact me. But some bots are good. If it's the alternative of being on hold for 20 minutes or being able to give your information to the bot, that's fine. As long as when you get to a person, they already have the information, which is my pet peeve, that you have to give it to the person again anyway, that they don't pass it along even though you gave it to the bot. So very nice little article. I recommend that you read it. If you're considering bots, I think it's a good start. Okay, now yesterday we talked about this article, 4 ways AI is transforming e-commerce. And I'm always very interested in AI case studies because frankly, you can't find any. All you can find is promos that AI is great. So the first point in this article was that intelligent platforms lead to higher conversions. And I took issue with this. One clear benefit of AI integration is personalization. In a recent Salesforce report, businesses that used AI, key here, businesses that used AI to provide personalized recommendations to their customers reported 24% more conversions and 26% higher revenues. Furthermore, customers were 4.5 times more likely to convert when e-commerce sites displayed custom product suggestions based on their previous behavior. Okay, so that's what the article said. Makes it plain as day. You should get into AI so that you can raise your sales 26%, which is a huge number, of course. Okay, so let's go find the report. Took me a little while, but here's the report, Personalization in Shopping. Okay, beautiful cover, and the bear needs boots. Anyway, so here are the key findings. It's a little bit hard to read, but I'll give you my best shot. Okay, here's what they really said. Where the shopper clicked on recommendations, while when they clicked on recommendations was only 7% of the time, those visitors represented 24% of the orders and of the revenue. And when they clicked on those recommended items, a high percentage, I think, it was something like 25% or 30%. I think it's down in here. This is really hard for me to read from back here. Actually bought something that was recommended. Okay, all those things are great. They spent more time on the site. Well, yeah, because if you go to a site and you don't click anything, you're a bounce, and a bounce is going to be gone fast, right? Because you're there and you're gone. So once you click something, now you're not a bounce, you're looking at something. And I would say, if you find something interesting, great, right? But here's the real kicker here. So the bottom line is that this was not about businesses that used AI. There was a supposed AI. Remember what Dr. Data says, AI is a fraud and a hoax. But there was a product recommendation engine, let's give it that, okay? But basically all of them had it. All of them had a product recommendation engine. And the question really is there in this study, is there a control group? Are we comparing the AI group with just product recommendations like, say, the Amazon methodology, which says people who bought this product also bought, and eBay is like that too. People who bought this product also looked at, and then they show you the thing. There's no implicit AI in it at all. It just says that people also looked at these other items. And I find that very useful in eBay, because a lot of times you'll be looking at one product and there'll be a slightly different product, very slightly different, that's a little less expensive or has a feature that you're really looking for. So I find that very beneficial. But it's not AI driven. It's driven by the people shopping. It's not driven by your previous shopping behavior, because, that tells you so little. But it's built by a correlation of buyers of that product. Okay, so bottom line, the article was totally misleading when it talked about the tremendous benefit of AI. It had nothing to do with AI. There was no control, as far as I could see, on whether you recommended them because they were purple on Tuesdays. If you make product recommendations and if people click them, then they tend to go on and buy. Great. Well, that means that you're in a sphere of target that they're looking for what you're selling. It means more about that than it does about AI. So once again, we find a great disappointment when we lift the covers and look at AI. So here is an article I wanted to get to yesterday, How Bullshit Becomes a Fact. Okay, and this is from Bob Hoffman. And he said, he noticed in the drum, which I use often, which was the chatbot article, the millennial generation have the most spending power of any generation. And this guy says, what economic is the data is the author smoking, right? Absolutely. People over 50 control 70% of the wealth of the U.S. and are responsible for about half of all consumer spending. Baby boomers are way down here in income and spending power, because not only is their income lower, which we got down here someplace is another chart, not only is their income lower, here, median total income by age, right? Median total income by age, and here it goes, down in here, you're just not making as much, and it kind of levels off, and then your investment income kicks in, which is really different than most of the charts I've seen where your income goes kunk down here because you're running on, you're coasting in your retirement. But anyway, even if that were true, like this says, even if millennials had higher income than baby boomers, that still doesn't mean they have the most spending power. Spending power is not a function only of income, I would say. It's a function of income plus accumulated wealth plus access to credit plus elimination of liabilities, I would say. So if you are making 100 grand, you get out of college with a big engineering AI degree or something, you're making 100 grand, but you have $200,000 in student loans, well, that's going to limit your ability to go buy video games or some other thing. So let's recap. Here's the recap. In a 2009 book, it was incorrectly predicted that millennial income would surpass baby boomers by 2017. In 2012, a self-promotional PDF by a software company took this false prediction and misinterpreted it to mean that the millennials would have more spending power than any other generation by 2017. In a 2017 piece of content on an agency website written by a marketing strategist 2 years out of college, They took this quote and said, millennials will have the most spending power of any generation by 2018. Later that year, in a Forbes article, they used that assertion that an agency website claimed that by 2018, the millennials have the most spending power of any generation. And yesterday in 2019, an article in The Drum, leaning on the piece in Forbes, proclaimed that the millennials have the most spending power of any generation. You know, I think really what they're saying is that by the time they die, they'll have accumulated more bucks than any generation, and that may be true. It's hard to say, you know, that's just a hard thing to say, but that's what they're guessing. But at the moment, don't malign your older customers, because they may have money and they probably spend it. And so be careful when you read articles, especially in marketing, because and that was my point in the other article as well, because there's a lot of misinterpretation. Better to make a recommendation than not to make a recommendation, but it doesn't require AI to do it. We used to do it with a red crayon and say, this week's special is, say this to every customer who comes online. Clearing out the smoke and mirrors, I'm John Miglash for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing.